From Fox 8 Sports, this is the Black and Gold Review Show, sponsored by your Southern Quality Ford dealers, home of the best-selling truck 41 years straight, and the 2018 Nissan Titan, backed by America's best limited truck warranty.
In the I formation, he's going over the top, and that's going to be it. Touchdown. That one's over, and the New Orleans Saints defeat the Atlanta Falcons here in Atlanta.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome into the Black and Gold Review Show. And how about these two dudes next to me? Deuce McAllister, Saints Hall of Famer. Sean Vazan, Flag Football Hall of Famer in the making. No?
No.
Well, he's got good salad. Hey, first win on the road. A win is a win in this case because it wasn't pretty, but it was fun to watch.
You get to the point where it doesn't matter how you scored as far as the W is concerned. Now, you have to come back and correct some of those mistakes. You're happy to have the W in the win column. I think that's probably the most important thing.
I still think they played better Sunday than they did last week against Cleveland. So they played a little bit better. Perhaps it was their best effort of the season, but let's not kid ourselves. They still got a lot of work to do.
You got a lot of work to do. They didn't play great, didn't play perfect, but they got to win. Let's get you right to the playbook. Play number one, Road Avengers, their first road trip, and it's a big one against Atlanta, and they take care of business.
It's a division game. You're familiar with that opponent. It's a common opponent. You knew going into it you were going to have to score. The question was how many were you going to have to score? You felt really good once it went to overtime because obviously you had the football and you liked the way that your team was playing. So it's a W.
Never, never, never apologize for winning on the road in the NFL, especially within the division. These are the types of games that can add up at the end of your season. So to win on the road, their first road test, certainly a good sign for this team.
And you're talking about them going against an Atlanta team. Maybe Sean and Deuce, this was the perfect time to face that defense. No Debo, missing their starting cornerback, a Pro Bowl player. I mean, if you're going to ever face this team, that was the time to face them for this offense.
Well, and for the Saints, you usually say, well, it doesn't matter who you line up against. At times, yes, it does matter. I mean, because you're talking about the heart of that defense when you take out Jones, you take out Neal, and then obviously with Allen getting hurt, I thought he was the one player that lined everybody else up. And so once he got hurt, the Saints really went after the secondary.
Not always who you play. When you play them, and I think the Saints did catch him at the right time.
All right, play number two, Brees above and beyond. What did he not do in this game to get this team a win? He was fantastic.
9 was masterful, and look, it was. I think we all appreciate him. Fan base love him. They adore him, but this doesn't just happen. I mean, the greatness that he has week in and week out. I mean, it's truly unique. It's one of a kind, and. When you have it, you hold on to it as long as you possibly can. Oh, by the way, he broke Brett Favre's record. No one in NFL history has thrown more completions than Drew Brees. I thought he was magnificent on Sunday. Add another chapter, add another kind of line to the resume here. Drew Brees had a phenomenal game.
I think as a player and then sometimes even as a fan, you almost take it for granted. You take some of the throws, you take some of the things that he does for granted because it's like, oh, it's common, and then you see some of the other teams around the NFL and they can't do those type of things. It almost makes you just scratch your head and it's like, oh man, this is special.
After the game, a lot of players, a lot of his teammates are kind of in awe. And so maybe some guys that haven't seen this side of Drew before in awe, but that just kind of shows you the respect he has in that locker room.
Yeah, Teron Armstead, to our cameras, kind of yelled, Drew Brees is the GOAT, greatest ever, no debate. Elite, like I said in my blog, elite ain't easy, he just makes it look that way.
Which is what drives me crazy every time we always hear fans say, it's time to get rid of Drew Brees because he has one bad game. But boy, for every bad game, he has 10 good ones. It's crazy. People don't understand how hard it is to find a quarterback like this out in the market. You can't.
It's very hard to find a quarterback that plays the way that he plays as far as being an elite player. And I think, the only knock that you get around the NFL when you talk about the other quarterbacks is the Super Bowl wins. So he puts up these numbers, but, the Saints have only won one Super Bowl. And that's where I think really if they can cement his legacy is by winning another one. But still, for me, he's up top anyway.
I agree. All right, play number 3, back in the playbook. Run game arrives. 27 carries, 143. We talked about Sean Payton has been mentioning week after week about having balance in the offense. They got balance in the offense this time.
This is the second week in a row, really, where they take over in the fourth quarter as far as run game is concerned. They have really done a better job, at least, of laying on people and getting up to the second level as far as, blocking is concerned. I thought they did some really good things, but when they go back and watch that tape, there are probably 3 or 4 runs where there's a lot of yards left to be had. And so, you don't have to really get going in the fourth quarter because there's yards to be had earlier in that game.
And I got to give Sean Payton props. This was a well-called game. It felt like every run kind of felt like the right time for it. I don't know what the final stats were in terms of run-to-pass ratio, but felt like it was a well-called game. They called it the right time, and I agree with you, Deuce. There were some yards out that they left on the field. I mean, I know that happens in every game, but still, it was good to see this engine kind of crank up a little bit because they're going to need this aspect of their offense if they want to do anything this year.
Play number 4, run defense delivers. And we talked last week about how the key to at least having a chance to beat Atlanta is you got to make them one-dimensional. That Saints defense did a really good job, Sean, of making the Falcons have to throw the ball more. Now, they had more success throwing it, but they were limited to doing that.
They did. 22 carries, 48 yards. There's been no bigger critic of the Saints' run defense for the first couple of weeks than me, and I thought they really stepped up and played well. Taylor Stallworth, Sheldon Rankins, David Onyemata, Cam Jordan, Marcus Davenport had some good snaps, Alex Okafor. I mean, the D-line in general played well. Linebackers played well again, at least against the run. So kudos, because this was an area that was really lacking. I thought they stepped up.
I thought that this defensive line really beat up the Atlanta offensive line, and whether it was allowing those linebackers to shoot the gaps or just being able to hold the edge, they did an outstanding job of holding the edge and setting the edge. That's Cam Jordan, that's Okafor, that's Davenport being able to set the edge. Thought they really did a good job of that, and I think it was 2.2 was the average for Atlanta as far as yards per carry. That really set the stage as far as you have to pass. Not saying that we did a great job when they did pass, but at least they forced them to have to pass the football.
I agree. Back in the playbook, play number 5. And here's the problem. Pass defense, persistent problem with the area. Big plays, confusion in the secondary, wrong personnel. I mean, you name the list. It's long in terms of how well this secondary has been performing this year. And against Atlanta, they got exposed once again.
Going into it, you knew that they would hit some plays. The problem with this Saints defense has been the explosive plays, the plus 20, the plus 30. Those are the plays that they can't have. Teams are going to hit you for 5, 7, 10 yards at times. It's the over-the-top, the explosive plays that is hurting this defense. And so whether it's a call, whether it's a coverage, whatever it is, they have to get it fixed if they're going to, continue to win. You're not going to win every shootout. You can't get into those type of games, and you have to limit those big plays.
All I know is Matt Ryan found the hole, and he hit it time and time and time again. And at ward number 26, you hate to pick on the guy, but look, he got toasted a lot. So they've got to figure this out because this is going to be an issue all season long. It was an issue the first 2 weeks last year, if you remember, and Kim Crawley came back in and stepped up. Perhaps he can regain his form. Who knows? I do know this. You're not going to survive in the NFL giving up this many big plays week in and week out. Which begs the question, is Drew Brees going to have a monster-like game like this most weeks? Because teams are going to be, as Sean Payton said today, teams are looking at this film and they're seeing that they can have more success than not by throwing the ball deep. They're not going to all of a sudden say, you know what, let's give them a break this week. We're going to keep on throwing the ball deep.
They're going to go up top. I mean, they're going to go up top. And there's only so many defenses that you can call that you have to protect them. At some point, the players are going to have to make plays to show that, hey, look, we're going to either get an interception or it's going to be an incomplete. You can't live by giving up that big play or it's got to be a penalty. You just can't do it.
Look, having to score 40 a game to win is probably not the best formula to win in the NFL. They're going to have to get this fixed somehow, some way.
It's the pressing problem number 1 right now. But by the way, coming up, what can Taysom Hill not do? Sean Vazan breaks down the film, and we look at the different ways he has yet to be used. That's next. Stay with us.
Gold Review, sponsored by the 2018 Nissan Titan, backed by America's best limited truck warranty. You're watching the Black and Gold Review Show, sponsored by your Southern Quality Ford dealers and the 2018 Nissan Titan.
Welcome back in. 2 words, Taysom time. Taysom time, Taysom time. All right, I said it. I'm getting it out there. I have been one of his biggest critics, but I will jump on that little bandwagon of yours and say, you know what? He's a pretty darn good player.
It's your favorite time of the day. All aboard. There's plenty of room on the Taysom train, Juan. I know you're coming around. There's no denying the uniqueness of Taysom Hill and the effect it has on this team. On Sunday, the Saints' most interesting man had his most productive day yet. Before we begin with what Taysom Hill did against the Falcons, let's just look at where he lined up when he was on the field. On special teams, he was back deep for a kickoff return. He also lined up on the left end in a 4-point stance to rush the punt. Here he is on the right side in a 4-point stance to rush the punt. He also stood up near the center of the line on a punt. Now, when the Saints punted, he was the up back in the formation. On field goal block, there is Hill, second from the end on the left to rush. On offense, he lined up on the left and went in motion. He also lined up as a quarterback. Now, his production was as diverse as his snaps would suggest. On kickoff, Hill returned one for 23 yards. On punt coverage, Hill was able to race down and make a tackle. When he was rushing the punter, he nearly blocked one at the end of regulation. On offense, Hill lined up on the left and went in motion 3 times, but did 3 different things on those plays. The first time, he ran a corner route from the H-back spot and drew a holding flag. The throw ended up going to Ted Ginn Jr. The second time, he stayed in and blocked and actually did a nice job on DeMonte Casey. Now, the third time when he went in motion, Drew Brees handed him the ball on the jet sweep. He gained 2 yards on the play. When Hill lined up at quarterback, it was zone read with Alvin Kamara the entire way. His first one was his best. He pulled the ball from Kamara, but had to shake Vic Beasley at the line of scrimmage, who actually had it defended pretty well. He also broke Casey's tackle, then hit the Jets to gain 35 and draw a horse collar penalty. The second time he ran it, it was all effort. Once again, he kept it, but this time Atlanta snuffed it out. Still, Hill was able to break 3 tackles to convert a crucial 3rd and 2. Offensively, using Taysom is all about timing. Sean Payton seems to have a good feel for when to call his number. Now, bold prediction, the next evolution of Taysom, we'll see him throw a pass here real soon. That's just my prediction. I think it's going to happen at some point this year.
I asked Deuce during the 5 o'clock newscast, will Taysom score his first touchdown as a quarterback, throwing it, whatever, or as a field player? Your thoughts on that again?
He's going to score eventually,
Yeah.
and I think, it's going to be running the football in. They can use him in so many different ways. Look, we see him being able to return a play. I wouldn't be surprised for him to get a block as far as a punt is concerned, but for him he brings so much energy. So for him, I think it's going to be as a quarterback running the football in, but trust me, a pass is coming.
To Drew Brees? Pass to Drew Brees?
I think it could happen. I think his first touchdown is going to come on one of those zone replays, either that or a 2-point conversion. He's such an outlier as a player. Deuce, I know you've seen guys that have played special teams and had different positions, but he plays special teams, returns kicks, but he also gets in that stance and rushes the punter to block the punt, and also on the field goal as well. I've never seen that as a quarterback lined up in a 4-point stance to rush a punt or a field goal.
His burst, his acceleration as a player, and he's 240. I mean, he is a big guy as far as just his size, and it's amazing to see.
So Drew Brees said after the game yesterday that Taysom Hill is a quarterback. He's going to be a quarterback in this league for a long, long time. Those are Drew Brees' words. I still don't think he'll be a starting quarterback on a regular basis in this league. What do you think, Sean? I mean, could he be somebody's go-to quarterback for an extended amount of time?
Let me just say this. I thought the last game of the preseason, from where he started to where he finished in the preseason, you could see the growth as a quarterback. Now, he's not there yet. Maybe he's getting closer to being a number 2 quarterback at some point. Don't think he's a starter just yet. But still, when you have that unique skill set, I mean, you'd be a fool not to use it. And the Saints have gotten the most out of it.
Okay.
You lose some of that things that he does special, particularly on special team, if he becomes your full-time quarterback. I don't know how much zone read you would run with him if that's the case. You can still use him and get him out on the edge, but you lose some of the special things he does to affect the other parts of the game.
He's certainly been fun to watch, and the fans want to know if he can play cornerback. I would not say he can't. Coming up, we're headed to the mailbag where the defense is weighing heavily on everyone's minds. Is communication the number 1 issue, or do the Saints need to shake up the personnel? Also, we look ahead to Week 4 as Sean Payton and Drew Brees try to get their first win on the road against the Giants since 2006.
You're watching the Black and Gold Review Show, sponsored by your Southern Quality Ford dealers and the 2018 Nissan Titan.
Welcome back in. Already a very spirited show, but now it's time to get to your questions submitted on the Final Play app using that final word feature. Our first question of the evening comes from Cornelius in Marrero. He wants to know, how much more less concerned are you in regards to the Saints defense?
I'm very concerned. I mean, because you are giving up explosive plays. That's what they have to take away from offenses. Offenses cannot know that they can continue to hit you with explosive plays. You know, we hear the communication may be an issue on the back end. I'm not so sure that is the case. I know that you have to stop those explosive plays, though.
Against two NFC South opponents, they've allowed 78 points. Ain't gonna cut it. I'm very, very concerned about the Saints defense. They have to get better. It's all about keeping the opponents out of the end zone. They haven't done it.
Does this fall more on Dennis Allen than the players? I mean, you got some new pieces back there a little bit, not many, but is it more on Dennis Allen?
It's a shared. I think it's a shared deal. I think, you know, Dennis can only call so many defenses. At some point, players have to still make plays.
Our next question comes from Maurice in Atlanta. Do you think our safeties and corners are not communicating well? That is at least 6 deep passes for touchdowns this year.
The two big balls that Calvin Ridley caught, and look, you just straight up beat P.J. Williams. One was on a double move. Another, he kind of, P.J. went to jam him at the line of scrimmage, and he had a free release on the outside release and just beat him on a go route. So I thought in the first game there was some communication issues. I thought yesterday it was more of P.J. just got beat.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, players have to make plays. And certain defenses, whether certain calls are being made, you know that, hey, look, I may not have coverage in this play. I have to be able to protect, you know, where I'm going to be the weakest at in that coverage. And guys just aren't making enough plays, whether we can blame the pass rush, whether we can blame, you know, outside as far as coverage is concerned. It's a combination.
Our next question from Quinzel and Angie. He wants to know, is there someone that can play cornerback opposite of Lattimore? We were on Lattimore after the first game of the season, but now all the conversations about the other guy on the other side. You're looking at Ken Crawley, struggled in game 2. P.J. Williams struggles in game 3. So who gets that spot for game number 4?
Well, they've tried different guys, you know, and now we know that they're going to obviously work out some more corners, and I don't know if some of that is because Patrick Robinson is obviously banged up as well. So for them, they've got to figure out what they want to do from a defensive standpoint. We hadn't seen a lot of 3 safety looks. Maybe they go to that look, but I don't know if that still helps them opposite of Marshawn Lattimore.
There was a report out that Sterling Moore was going to do a workout with the team. Obviously, they have some history there. I don't know about you, Deuce. I kind of think he's more of a nickel. I guess he can play the outside, but I think he's more of a nickel. With Patrick Robinson down for however long he's down, perhaps that could work out there. I'll just say the name. Look, Natrell Jamerson, to me, had a good preseason. It was a curious cut when it happened. They sure would like to have another body like that on your roster right now. I thought he played well. He's obviously not. Is he with the Giants? I think he's with the Giants right now, who they're going to play this week. So we'll see what's available on the street, but they're on the street for a reason. So I don't know if there's a magic formula here. Somebody has got to step up and play better because this will kill them all year if they allow it.
You know what I find interesting? When the season began, we talked about how the secondary is so deep, and this is the deepest group of cornerbacks they've had in a long time, and yet we're still back at square one once again, trying to find an answer at the cornerback spot. Question number 4 from Lance down in Kennebra. With the DBs struggling, why are the Saints not bringing in Delvin Breaux, who right now is playing up in Canada? He's continued to be a Saints fan watching the games. He's always tweeting about it. Would that be an option for the Saints?
I think with the new rules that they have up in Canada, once he committed, I think he has to complete the season up in Canada. So the Saints, to my knowledge, and I have to double check, I don't think they can go and get him until that season is over. So immediately, that doesn't help the Saints. I mean, because I think he has to complete his season up in Canada.
I had to go back and check, but I want to say he took 2 other visits after it was clear he was not signing with the Saints, and then he gets signed. That leads me to believe that it's not just the Saints that are concerned about his health. Other teams are as well. So I'm not sure how he's doing right now in Canada, but I guess it's a possibility, but I would call it a long shot at this point.
My question is Delvin Breaux an upgrade over what you have already?
Confidence-wise?
Well, confidence-wise, I think he probably, well,
maybe.
Talent-wise, we don't know. Confidence-wise, that has to be the question to me, because right now, our guys aren't playing with confidence.
All right, coming up, we're previewing the Giants, who got in the win column yesterday thanks to receivers Odell Beckham Jr. and Sterling Shepard. Could they cause more trouble for that Saints secondary? We'll discuss. And be sure to tune in tomorrow night for Fox 8 Overtime, when we'll have more Saints talk as well as look at all of the big stories in South Louisiana sports this week. We'll answer your viewer questions, so keep submitting those on the Final Play app. And be sure to watch Fox 8 Overtime every Tuesday night at 10:35.
the Black and Gold Review Show, sponsored by your Southern Quality Ford dealers and the 2018 Nissan Titan.
Up next for the Black and Gold, a trip to the Meadowlands to face a Giants team that's coming off its first win of the season last week. And before we go forward with that, I want to correct something we talked about earlier in the show. The Terrell Jamerson guy was cut by the Saints. He's now with the Texans, but they will get to face another former Saint named Cameron Moore. He ended up signing up with the Giants. So they got themselves a good football player, a player that the Saints probably could use right now in that secondary.
Well, anytime that you talk about playing on the secondary, it has to be confidence. You have to have a short memory, particularly when you talk about a corner. And so we know the big plays that have happened, some of the exposure. When you look at the film, teams are going to go after those players. So if you had more bodies, maybe they're the answer, but they're not here.
The Giants this weekend, Sean, this is a team that's very beatable for the Saints. They play the right way.
Very beatable, but capable of beating the Saints. Look at those explosive wide receivers, and we've seen the problems with the Saints right now. The matchup is wide receivers versus the Saints secondary. I hope it's another track meet, but I could see it being that way if we get into a kind of a scoring fest here, which could happen given the struggles on the Saints defense.
Are you scared at all of anything the Giants do outside of throwing the ball, Deuce?
Oh, you could. Their running back. I mean, I think he is
Saquon's pretty good, huh?
Saquon, their running back. He is going
so
to be a
again,
problem.
the focus is like with Atlanta, make them one-dimensional.
No doubt about it, but he can catch the ball as well as a pass receiver. So you have to know where he's lining up at all times, and you're gonna have to tackle him. He's 230.
Okay, and don't forget a big Thursday night on Fox 8 between the Rams and Vikings as Thursday Night Football kicks off here on the network. Until then, for Deuce McAllister and Sean Bazan and everyone at Fox 8, I'm Juan Kincaid. Thanks for watching. Our next newscast is at 4:30 in the morning. Have a great night.
From Fox 8 Sports, this has been the Black and Gold Review Show, sponsored by your Southern Quality Ford dealers, home of the best-selling truck 41 years straight, and the 2018 Nissan Titan, backed by America's best limited truck warranty.